The blade had never left the floor in 400 years, and now a human girl had both hands on the grip. The training hall of Vessik Command went dead quiet. Instructor Malron froze at the head of the mat, his 3 eyes fixed on the cadet who should not have been able to touch the weapon at all. The blade was called the Oathspine. It was forged from collapsed hull metal, and it weighed as much as a grown Vessik warrior. For 4 centuries it had been the final test of the combat class. You did not lift it. You knelt beside it, you acknowledged you were not strong enough, and you moved on. That was the lesson. Strength has a ceiling, and the Oathspine marked it. Nella Ardent was breathing hard through her teeth. Her boots were sliding. The tendons in her forearms stood up like cables. The blade came off the floor, not smoothly, not like a legend. It came up in ugly jerks, a hand of height, then 2, her whole body shaking, sweat running off her jaw and spotting the mat. But it came up, and every Vessik cadet in that hall took 1 step back without deciding to. Malron had seen humans before. Their kind had joined the academy 2 seasons ago, a diplomatic gesture, a curiosity. They were soft in the wrong places and stubborn in ways that made no tactical sense. He had watched this one, Nella, fail the strength trials again and again. She could not match a Vessik cadet in raw power. He had marked her as filler, a body that would wash out by winter. He had been wrong, and he did not yet understand how wrong. "Put it down," Malron said. His voice did not carry the way he wanted. "Cadet, that is not a test you can pass. Put it down before you tear yourself apart." She did not put it down. She turned. Slowly, on shaking legs, she turned to face the target dummy at the end of the hall. The ancient scarred thing no cadet had ever reached with the Oathspine, because no cadet had ever carried it that far. "How is she holding it?" whispered a cadet named Teresh. His crest had gone flat with fear. "It is not possible. Her arms are thinner than mine." Malron did not answer, because he had just understood the thing that would keep him awake for the rest of his life. It was not possible, and it was happening anyway. That gap between what a body should do and what a human would make it do was the whole secret, and the Vessik had never had a word for it. Nella took a step. The blade dragged, then lifted. Another step. Her lips had gone white. A vessel had burst in her left eye, filling it red, and she blinked the blood away and kept walking. 10 steps to the dummy. She was on step 3, and already her body was screaming at her to stop, and Malron could see, in the set of her ruined face, that she had simply decided not to listen to it. This was the part the Vessik did not train for. They trained the ceiling. They did not train what happens when a creature refuses to accept that a ceiling exists. "She is going to die doing this," Teresh said. "Instructor, stop her." Malron opened his mouth to give the order. Then he closed it, because a colder thought had arrived. If he stopped her now, if he reached out and took the weight, he would be teaching every cadet in this hall that the human had won. And she had not won yet. She had only refused to lose. There was a difference, and the difference was walking across his floor 1 shaking step at a time. Step 4. Step 5. Something changed in the room. The Vessik cadets were no longer looking at the blade. They were looking at her hands, at the grip, where the skin had split. She was bleeding onto the Oathspine, smearing 400 years of unbroken tradition with human blood, and she did not even seem to notice, because the pain of her hands was so far down the list of things hurting her that it did not register. Malron realized he was afraid, not for her, of her, because he was doing the math a commander does. He was imagining not one human in a training hall, but a line of them. A boarding party, a defensive wall. 10,000 creatures who each individually could be told, by their own bodies, in the clearest possible terms, that the thing they were attempting was beyond survivable, and who would each individually decide that this information was irrelevant. You could not break a soldier like that with pain, because pain was the language they had already stopped answering. Step 6. Nella's knee buckled. She went down onto it, hard, and the blade tip clanged against the floor. A breath of relief moved through the hall. It was over. She had reached her limit like everyone did. Teresh actually started forward to help her up. She got up. She planted the falling knee, drove against it, and stood back into the weight, and the sound that came out of her was not a warrior's cry. It was the low, ugly grunt of an animal that has decided the ground is not going to keep it. Teresh stopped where he stood. His hand was still out. He drew it back slowly, as if he had reached toward a fire. "I told her to stop," Malron said, mostly to himself. "She heard me. She simply decided my order weighed less than her own." Step 7. Step 8. The dummy was close now. Nella's whole face was a mask of red and gray, her jaw locked, a thin line of blood running from her nose. Her arms had stopped shaking. That was the worst part. The part Malron would describe to the War College later and watch them refuse to believe. The shaking had stopped. Not because it had gotten easier. Because she had passed through the place where the body negotiates and come out the other side into a flat, cold country where there was only the blade, the dummy, and the 10 steps between. Step 9. "Do not," Malron said. He was not sure who he was talking to. Step 10. Nella Ardent reached the target dummy that no cadet in 400 years had ever reached, carrying the Oathspine. She did not have a swing left in her. Everyone in the hall could see that. She had spent everything getting here, and there was nothing left for the strike, and so the test, technically, was still unpassed. She could not lift the blade to cut. Her arms were done. So she did not lift it. She let herself fall forward, all her weight and all the blade's weight together, and she drove the point down through the dummy and into the floor beneath it, pinning 4 centuries of Vessik certainty to the ground with a sound like a bone breaking. Then she let go, and she dropped beside her own weapon, and she did not get up, because there was finally nothing left to refuse. No one moved to help her. They moved away from her. Malron stood over the pinned blade and the collapsed human and understood that his combat class was over, not for the day, but as a concept. He could not teach the ceiling anymore. Every cadet in this hall had watched the ceiling get walked through by a creature who was, by every measure the Vessik valued, weaker than them. Strength had a limit. He had built his whole life on that. And a human girl had just shown his students that that a human will keep spending a body long after the body has filed for bankruptcy, and that there is no wall you can build tall enough to make that stop being true. Teresh was the one who finally spoke, in a voice Malron had never heard from a cadet. "When we fight them," Teresh said. "How do we make them stop?" Malron looked at the Oathspine standing upright in the floor, held there by nothing but the angle of a strike from a soldier who had run out of strength 6 steps ago and finished anyway. He did not have an answer. He understood, standing there, that the honest answer was the one thing a Vessik commander could never say aloud to his students. You do not make them stop. You hope you are never what they decide to walk toward. The Oathspine was never returned to its place at the head of the hall. Malron left it where it stood, pinning the ruined dummy to the floor, human blood dried black along the grip. He told the next class the truth. He told them it was not a test of strength. It had never been a test of strength. It was a test of whether you knew your own limit, and every Vessik who had ever knelt beside it had passed. Then he told them a human had come and failed the test and walked to the target anyway, and that this was the day the Vessik learned there was a species in the galaxy that could not be taught where the edge was, because they refused to believe the edge was for them. The cadets asked, every year after, why the blade was still stuck in the floor, why no one had pulled it free. Malron always gave the same answer. He said no Vessik was strong enough to pull it out. Then he said the part that made the young ones go quiet. the part that traveled from academy to academy until every warrior in Vessik space knew it before they knew how to hold a rifle. He said a human could have pulled it out with one hand. And that was exactly why they should pray to never meet one.